Hey guys, First Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about every single heroic tier weapon in Space Marine 2 patch 10.0 and tier listing them. Now, heroic weapons are the newest weapon tier added to Space Marine 2. These were originally advertised as the strongest variants of each of their respective weapon types, but in reality, they function far more as side grades, which, to be honest, I think is far better for the overall health of the game because these weapons only have one weapon type or one weapon variant. Like a Xenophase blade is just a balanced sword, there is no fencing or block option, and if these were just like the overall best options in the game, period, future content would probably balance around them. It would definitely limit build variety quite a bit, so I think side grades are far better. That being said, not all of these are created equally. Some of their heroic perk effects are significantly better than others, and I'll be going through them one by one today, starting with the Power Gladius. Now, the Power Gladius is the combat knife heroic weapon. This has a heroic perk effect that upon a perfect dodge, you will gain a 75% damage buff to your next light attack, stacking up to 3 times. Now, this damage buff also applies to things like Shadow Stab, despite the description, so the description is incorrect on this, though it is still not like super powerful. This is locked to a balanced weapon type with like a 14 strength, 7 plus speed, and 2 cleaving potential, which is not bad by any means. I actually go as far to say this is the best balanced knife in the game currently, but that heroic perk effect, having the trigger on perfect dodge, is just not super amazing. There are not many times in Space Marine 2 you will ever be perfect dodging 3 times in a row without attacking, so honestly, stacking up to like, the 200% plus damage buff is probably not going to happen for like 99% of gameplay, so kind of silly it did that. I think it'd be far better on like perfect parry or perfect block with like a cooldown or something, but maybe they'll change that someday. But for now, not a super strong heroic perk effect, but it is better than nothing. And I do want to mention that this thing does look really cool because it does have a power field around it, just like the power sword does, and it's basically a powered combat knife. That's a pretty neat idea. I do enjoy the weapon quite a bit. I would say this is probably better than the standard relic tier balanced weapon. It's just not like a super strong pick compared to the other heroic weapons we'll get into later. So I put it in B tier. You can definitely pick this one up. You probably won't feel too bad about it. If you already like the balance window on the relic tier knife, you'll be just fine with this one. It's basically just like a straight upgrade. Next weapon we have here is the Relic Battle-Worn Heavy Plasma. This is the heroic tier variant of the Heavy Plasma Incinerator with the heroic perk that says you can no longer use charge shots in your heavy stance, but you will fire at an increased fire rate. And when they say increased fire rate, they mean this thing is fully automatic for common shots. And to be honest, the DPS output on this thing is amazing. I actually think this is one of the best heroic weapons we have currently, and light shots on the heavy plasma are super underrated anyways. A heavy plasma common shot is not like a plasma incinerator or plasma pistol common shot. They do significant damage, significant CHP recovery, and have pretty decent AoE. Not AoE on the level of a charge shot, obviously, but still pretty strong. And the main thing you are missing out on with this version of the heavy plasma is the stagger that can come from the charge shots of the standard heavy plasma incinerator, but it's still a pretty good option regardless. If you really need stagger, you could take a plasma pistol instead. And a bit of an added bonus for this thing is that it has the base magazine capacity of the ammo reserve option of the relic tier, so it doesn't actually struggle for ammo that much, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I like this weapon a lot. I would not say it's like S tier. It's approaching S tier because it definitely competes with the best relic tier versions, but I think charge shots might be a little bit better, but this thing is still very strong. It's super fun to use. I do not like the fact that the perk tree does miss out some perks on this thing. What I mean by that is that some of the perks only work for charge shots and do literally nothing for this, and you have to pick them up anyways. This seems like a bit of an oversight, but overall, not like a terrible weapon by any means, and I'd probably put it in A. If you pick this one up, you probably won't feel too bad about it, and it's honestly pretty good in some cases compared to the charge shots, because shooting out rapid light shots can do a ton of damage. Now, the next weapon we have is the Xenophase blade. This is the heroic tier variant of the power sword. It gives you a 20% wider power rake with 20% more damage on your power rake, and power rake is the standard heavy attack of the power sword, which is already like the best attack on this thing anyways. And to be honest, this thing slaps. The power sword is in a pretty good spot already. This one is perma-locked to a balanced parry window, but it has like 15 plus damage plus like 3 plus speed, so pretty slow, but not too slow compared to like patch 9.0 block power swords at like 1 speed. And the damage buff from that 20% power rake heroic perk does help you hit breakpoints, especially versus chaos, the 2-shot guys. Really powerful option. I honestly go as far as say it's like one of the best options for heroic tier weapons, period. Very strong weapon, top tier pick for sure. I think this one actually competes with the block power sword in like certain cases. And even though a balanced parry window does kind of suck, the fact you have a very heavy hitting power sword on top of being able to parry whatsoever is pretty cool for a lot of people. It's also a ton of fun to use, and the Xenophase blade looks super cool anyways, because if you're unaware, these are basically made by like, you know, using Necron tech and stuff like that, and they have a Xenorite tech priest that says like, okay, here you go, you have the permit to use this in the Imperium. So really cool weapon, very strong effect. Power Sword is already in a pretty good spot anyways, and power rank buffs in general are very powerful in this game. I'd say Xenophase Blade is an easy S tier. This is the first one I got, and I think this is a great weapon for sure. Now, the next weapon we have is the Honorific Relic tier Bolt Pistol. This is the 3-round burst variant of the standard bolt pistol in the heroic tier. It is a very strong weapon. This gun has amazing secondary CHP recovery. I think this is like honestly on the level of plasma pistol in a lot of cases. CHP recovery for secondary weapons is super powerful for classes that don't have a primary like assault. The ammo economy may be a little lacking on it, but having high CHP recovery and really good DPS is amazing. Now, a lot of people do ask me, does this thing have increased gun strike damage because there is a 3-round burst animation on the gun strike? The answer is no. There is no increase in damage to the gun strikes from the 3-round burst. It is purely cosmetic. And I believe the damage of this is actually like 2 points lower than the standard bolt rifle, but overall it is still pretty decent. I actually like this gun quite a bit, though I will say it is definitely better versus Tyranids than the Chaos guys because it does benefit from headshot multipliers, and Chaos right now with Chaos Spawn and some of the Rubric Marine head boxes and stuff like that are a little bit harder to hit. So Honorific Relic tier bolt pistol, very good weapon, super fun to use. I would say this is probably a top tier pick for sure because it goes on all classes. You really can't go wrong with this thing. It's also just a ton of fun and looks really cool as well. So I'd say easy S tier. I think these two are like the best picks for sure, and the first two I went with, and the other ones I played with on like an offline mod because that's the only way to unlock them currently with the accolades. Now, next weapon we have is the Combi Melta. This is the heroic tier variant of the bolt rifle. Now, it is very similar to the grenade launcher, and that has the same underbarrel animation when you zoom in, except instead of shooting grenades, you'll shoot out like a little melta rifle and get up to like 13 or 14 shots. And to be honest, this gun is super fun. The bolt rifle variant is pretty lacking. It does suffer from similar things to the bolt rifle grenade launcher, and that ammo economy is not super epic for the underbarrel, especially now they nerfed the Emperor's Vengeance procs. And right now, Emperor's Vengeance does not refill your melta gun ammunition whatsoever, though unlike the grenade launcher, you will be able to get back all of your melta rifle ammo on this off an ammo cache, so keep that in mind. Now, the Combi Melta gun, I like this weapon. It's just that the bolt rifle is not a very strong gun outside of its accuracy variant with a ×2 headshot multiplier, and this one utilizes the standard bolt rifle, which is not horrific, it's just not great, and a 1.5 times headshot multiplier on like your main gun just does not feel that good. And the melta rifle can come in clutch at times to wipe out Minoris and stagger Majoris, but like as far as damage goes, the melta rifle doesn't do a ton, and it's way more for like utility and horde control. And I have done a couple runs with this. It is pretty fun. It is super good versus Tyranids, pretty powerful versus the Chaos guys to stagger them at times, but like in solo, I probably wouldn't use this. It is perma-locked to tactical, which is already pretty hard in solo, and I'd say it's a weaker option for sure of all the heroic tier variants. So I would say this one goes into C. This one will probably get buffed along with the Power Gladius. I think these ones are like the two they're going to look at first, on top of the next one we'll get to, but Combi Melta right now, it's not horrific, it's just not amazing. Next weapon we have is Kohler's Teeth. This is the heroic tier variant of the Chainsword. The heroic perk effect here allows you to chain your punches into your shoulder bash, and this weapon fucking sucks. It is a 19 strength, 1 speed chainsword that is perma-locked to the balanced parry window. Balanced parry window is already the worst parry type by far because it has a negative frame startup, and what that means is that the first 10 frames at 60 FPS of a balanced parry window, you cannot actually perfect parry at all. You have to preemptively parry with this weapon, and that's not too bad for things like the knife and the Xenophase blade at time, because the classes that have access to these usually don't care too much about this stuff. Like Bulwark is pretty tanky. Obviously Bulwark has access to Kohler's Teeth as well, but Power Sword in general just hits way harder than this thing does, and the slow speed of 1 on Kohler's Teeth is just horrific. It feels terrible to use, guys. I'm gonna be honest. This weapon just seems like a total rework on its stat spread, on top of the fact that its heroic perk tier just sucks ass, to be honest. And the only use case scenario I can really see for this is if you're playing an assault to get like maximum ground pound damage without adrenaline surge charges, because this one does have a 19 strength, which is like ever so slightly over the Chainsword block variant. But even the block Chainsword can do way more because it has adrenaline surge charges for a 90% damage increase. And this one completely lacks that. And you know, last patch we had a 1-speed Chainsword with the block Chainsword, and the block Chainsword last patch was usable, but the only reason a 1-speed block weapon is usable is because block can build up to have 2 adrenaline surge charges and then do severe stagger and enormous chunk damage off its high stat spread, and this one simply can't do that. It's just not very strong at all, and chaining punches into a shoulder bash is not very worthwhile whatsoever. I would pretty much never pick this up over any of the other options, including drip in this game or like the fashion helmets. So this one goes into D tier for sure. Needs a serious buff, serious rework to the heroic perk tree, or like the heroic perk they gave this one. It's just not good at all, guys. And I think most people have used one are quite disappointed with it, but you know, it's just the way it is currently because they had no PTS server for this patch. Anyways, guys, that is my opinion on all these heroic tier weapons. I could be convinced to move up like the relic tier here to like S because it is a pretty damn good side grade. Like I would say it's pretty equivalent to the relic tiers, but I just feel like these two are worth more of your time. If you're going to pick up 2 of these weapons first, I would just grab the Xenophase blade and the Honorific relic tier. I know a lot of people hate the balance pairing window. I'm not a huge fan of it either. I really hope they do one day add in like proper variations to all of these weapons for like fencing, block, and balance as well. And the big reason I think they did not do that here is that they don't want to add in new skins for the new variants, because Saber for some reason feels like they have to have like a brand new weapon variant skin to actually add in like these block and balance versions. And it's like the only reason I could possibly see why they only have like one version of these swords and guns here, which is kind of shitty. But that's just the way it is for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Which one did you pick up first? Which one do you like the most? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm underrating something or overrating something? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support over the past year. And as always, take it easy. Bye.